Hey all, today I've got a different kind of video. It's called a Reborn myth busting video. So I'm super excited about this. It's kind of really different and a little bit off of this planet. But I've been thinking for a while, right? So we've got our limbs, and let's say I've just painted these limbs and I'm about to send them off to their mum. So what we will do is we'll fill them with, say, glass bead weight. Some people use poly pellets. Some people, obviously, we use polyfill. So there's a number of different things that we use inside our limbs to make them lightly weighted, ready to go home and be like a realistic baby. So what I wanted to think of was something a little bit out of the box, something that might be a little bit different, but still nice and easy to use. So I thought, what would happen if I filled, this got a little plug in it, a typical limb with silicone? Now, let me get this straight before we go on. If I fill it with silicone, it's not going to be able to be pulled out or cut away and be a silicone baby leg, okay? It won't be that, and I wouldn't even advise to do it anyway, because that is like stealing someone's sculpture. You're not allowed to do it, but if you did do something like that, you will find that it'll have no toes, because most of the time these toes and even the front part of the foot are literally just a solid mass. So don't go doing that. It's completely illegal and definitely not advised to do it. So what I'm going to do in our myth busting today is I'm going to fill this limb with silicone, and then when it's all dried, I'll let you know how long it will actually take to dry. We're going to see how it feels. We're going to see how it feels as in weight. We're going to see how it feels as in like the squishiness, and just all round see if it might be something that we can actually use as Reborn artists. So what I've got here is a completely empty limb. There is nothing in that, and I've got a plug to seal it off. And with this one, I've got it half filled, just about up to here, with your fine glass bead. The fine glass bead is what I usually use in my limbs to give it that nice sort of soft muscle tone, just like we have in our own muscles. So I did this because I don't know if the silicone will be heavy enough for us to use as like a weight slash filler. So this one is half filled and this one is not filled at all. So we're going to get straight to it. So what I've got is I've got a silicone gun here. So this is just a 3-in-1 Sally silicone. Can be used as an adhesive, sealant, and a gap filler. It's clear. I wanted it to be clear, but I don't think in the end of it that it really matters, since it's going to be going inside a limb. So I'll just get this all ready. This is my husband's gun, and I've never really done this before. So I'm just going to squeeze. Hopefully I'm strong enough to do this. Just squeeze it up. It's really hard. Look at that. There's the silicone coming out the end there. So basically I'm going to put it down as far as I can and just squeeze. Now this will definitely be a myth bust, I tell you what. I've got to hope that it all goes down into that bottom section. Put this down in between my legs, hold it nice and tight, and squeeze. So I'm going to do that off camera so you don't have to watch me sitting here for 5 minutes squeezing it out. Okay, so I filled this first one with silicone. So what I did was I just squeezed. It took probably about 5 minutes. It does take a good strength, so you do need the strength to get it in. If you've got weak hands or wrists, it might not work. You might have to get your partner to do it or something. But I filled that one to the top. Now I just kept sort of banging it on my hand to make sure it would go down, and I would squeeze like the upper area and make sure I could feel it. You can tend to feel it when it's sort of like a little bit of resistance there. So that is that one. I'm just going to sit that there for a moment, and then I'm going to go into my second one that has the weight in it. So like I said, that is half filled with weight. So now I'm just going to fill it with silicone. So this will be interesting. This shouldn't take as long. Okay, so I have filled up a whole leg and a half a leg with the silicone. The leg that I have got the weight in, I'm going to put a plug to make sure that that is completely sealed, because I don't want any movement or anything. So I'm just going to put that straight in like that. It's extra full, so the plug wants tendency just to pop out at the moment. And then this one, I could put its plug in at the moment. That's when I would be putting my plug in if I was going to keep it like that. But I'm going to leave it open at the moment just so I can look once it is done. Now, as in weight, this kind of feels quite weighty. Obviously, it's got weight in it, but this does feel like it's a good weight as well. I think just by feeling it at the moment that it would be enough. But looking at the amount of silicone used, there's only this much left. So I would say there's only about this much silicone left in there, sealant or silicone, I should say, silicone left in there. So if I was using this, let's say, on an actual baby, I think to do the limbs and everything, you would be looking, I'm just going to put this bung in there so I can save whatever's left there. Yeah, I would say you would need maybe one full silicone, yeah, that's right, one full silicone tube of that size. Now that size there is a 300 gram. I would say for an actual baby, you'd be looking maybe 1.5 if you wanted to do this. Now from a point of view of whether you would do it or not, I think we have to wait and see how it feels and looks once it is completed. Just from my knowledge of sort of playing with it just then, I think it will be more of a, there goes my phone. I think it'll be more of a, maybe a luxury reborn or you know, high quality one. Obviously, you know, if these cost around $15, I mean, you can get cheaper ones for about $10, but that's only $20 to fill it, but you still need to put stuffing and weight in the body and the head. It's not really that much if you think about the price of a, you know, really expensive reborn baby. So if this is really a good quality feel in the end, then it might be something that some of the higher price reborns can come with. So what I'm going to do now is I'm literally going to leave it. Now I'll just see how long it says it takes to seal. That would have to be under there, of course, so I'll just have a look. But I'll have a look in 24 hours and see how it feels. And then in 1 second you'll actually see how long it takes for that silicone to actually cure into a, you know, usable state. And then we'll have a little bit of a talk more about what I actually think of the product and whether we can myth bust it, whether it can be used in reborn limbs as weight and filling. And then I'm going to like literally sit these limbs, you know, up on my shelf for maybe about 6 months. And when 6 months comes, I'm going to split them open. Not so any silly person can think of using it for a silicone baby, because it won't be any good like that. It'll be literally chunky and bubbly and things like that. But I'm going to have a look. I'm going to have a look at, there's, you know, obviously there shouldn't be any mold or anything, but I want to see if it's made any changes to the vinyl itself, if it's a product that maybe could withstand the time and use. So I'll sort of every now and again grab it and have a fiddle with it and everything. So stay tuned and let's see how long this actually takes to cure. All right, so we're back with our Mythbuster. So with the legs, basically I put them aside. I checked them at 24 hours and it felt like the silicone had cured enough, but I left it another 48 hours just to be sure. So it really didn't take that long to actually cure into place. If you were doing it for your own Reborn, it only took a few days, which sometimes people leave, you know, seal cure for that time. So quality makes perfection. So if you were to do it, it wouldn't really matter if you took a few more days anyway. So here are my two legs. This one is the one that I had put weight in, and I put the plug in the top. Now this one weighed 281 gram, and this one is the one that I didn't seal with the plug in the top. You can see the silicone in there, and as you can see, that was 209 gram. So this was the lighter option. Now this one had weight, remember, up to about here. This one had no weight, it's pure silicone. So as with what I think about this product, if we were to use it in our reborning skills, this one that I had to put the weight in, it's obviously there's not much difference in weight, so that is not a reason to put weight in. And it's actually quite hard down the bottom there. If you've ever felt like some of the older dolls that are really hard vinyl, that's what it feels like down the bottom. So my ideal between the two is I wouldn't go for the weighted version. It only weighs a small amount more and it feels a bit hard. Now, if I go for the one where I didn't put weight in, you can see the level of squishiness. It is hard, but there is still some squish in there. We can move the leg a little bit. We can move it. I mean, not that we or our customers are generally going to be going like this, but there is a little bit of movement in there if you like that type of thing. The weight is good. Like I said, the squishiness is good. The only aspect of this that I don't necessarily recommend to a reborn artist is the price. The price of the silicone is quite expensive. So to fill both of those legs, depending on the silicone you get, sometimes you can go to places like, I'm not sure if you can go to Walmart, or we could probably go to Costco, maybe Bunnings, and we could get maybe a pack of them all for a good price. I think I paid $10 for enough that would fill both legs, but there is, yeah, like 3 packs that are around $15 and that. So I think if you could do it, silicone legs, and you could do it for $5 to $10 for the limbs all around, it would be probably something interesting to go about and do. There's not going to be getting any mold in there. I mean, that was nice and clean. The weight is really good. It's not too heavy and it's definitely not too light. Actually, I think I could really recommend it. So if you sort of think, it's very interesting, I would suggest you get yourself a test limb. Now on Aussie Reborn supplies, I do sell test limbs. So I would suggest go and buy one of those, or you might have an old kit lying around at home or something like that. I would suggest give it a go. But why I'm suggesting to give it a go on a test limb first is because I'm saying that so you can get your own, you know, touch and feel. I know we all like to touch and feel things. You can get your own ideals of how you think it is and if it's something that you would like to do. I mean, we've had all aspects of complaints and people not liking different weights throughout the ages. You know, you've had people putting sand in limbs. You've had people putting fish gravel in it. You've had people putting rocks in it. Now this isn't a dirty, you know, natural product like any of that. It's a clean product. We buy it from our local hardware. It was easy to do. The only hard part about it was, you know, the pushing it in. If you've got sore arms or have problems with arthritis, that might be a bit hard. But a lot of us have partners that we could get to do it for us, even children. I actually liked it. I wouldn't say no. I know I'm carrying on about it, but I wouldn't say no. If someone was using it, I would think, well, they're really going to all lengths to get an absolute amazing quality. And it is quite a nice feel. When it comes to using our usual tumble glass or premium glass bead and polyfill, and then we put the cap on, that's obviously a quick, fast, quality alternative that we always use. It's a known, trusted way to do it. I do it now. I'll probably continue to do it. But I wouldn't rule this out. I would do it probably on occasions. So like I said, that's my myth busting for today. And my myth is busted. So I would say, yes, you can use silicone in your limbs for creating reborn baby dolls. A yes from me. So join me for my next myth bust, which I don't know what it's going to be about, but I'll be thinking about the next myth I can bust in reborns. So happy reborning. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll see you next time. Bye.